Cowboy took her in, then realized the unthinkable. She had no shoes, no name, just a swollen belly and eyes that never stopped looking over her shoulder. He should have walked away, but then she whispered something only his dead wife ever said. From that moment, nothing would be the same. What secret was she hiding? Why did every bounty rider in Texas want her gone? This isn't just a story about helping a stranger. It's about discovering that stranger was never a stranger at all. Cole Harrigan had spent 3 years learning to live with ghosts. 3 years since Sarah died in childbirth, taking their baby with her. 3 years of running cattle on land that felt more like a graveyard than a ranch. He'd gotten good at being alone, at pushing through days that all looked the same, until the October night when everything changed. The storm had been building all day, one of those Texas tempests that turned the sky green and made the cattle low with fear. Cole was securing the barn when he heard it, a sound that didn't belong to wind or rain, human, desperate, coming from inside. He pushed open the door, lantern raised, and found her. She huddled in the corner of an empty stall, arms wrapped around a belly, swollen with late pregnancy. No shoes, her feet were bloody from running. Her dress, once blue, was now the color of mud and desperation. But it was her eyes that stopped him cold, green as summer sage, wide with a terror that went bone deep. "Please," she whispered, and her voice carried an accent he couldn't place, not quite Mexican, not quite anything. "Don't let them find me. Please." Then she said the words that changed everything. As her eyes rolled back and she slumped toward the straw, she murmured, "The roses will bloom again in spring." Cole's lantern crashed to the ground. Those words, those exact words, were what Sarah used to say every winter, her promise that no matter how cold things got, beauty would return. Words she'd whispered as she died, words no one else had heard. The woman collapsed completely, and Cole caught her, his mind reeling. Who was she? How could she know? And why did holding her feel like holding a piece of his past he thought he'd buried? Cole carried the unconscious woman to his house, her weight nothing compared to the questions she'd awakened. He laid her on the bed in the spare room, Sarah's sewing room, untouched for 3 years, and tended to her as best he could. She was younger than he'd first thought. Maybe 22 or 23. Her condition worried him. The baby sat low and could come any time. She had no fever, but exhaustion marked every line of her body. Bruises colored her arms, some fresh, some fading to yellow. Someone had hurt her, and recently. He cleaned her feet, wincing at the cuts and thorns. How far had she run? And from whom? The storm raged outside, but Cole barely heard it over the thundering of his own thoughts. Those words, Sarah's words. It had to be a coincidence. He sat vigil through the night, dozing in the chair by the door. The woman stirred occasionally, muttering in her sleep, sometimes English, sometimes Spanish, and once in what sounded like French. Educated then, not just some drifter. Dawn came grey and bitter, the storm having blown itself out. Cole woke to find the bed empty, the window open, and muddy footprints leading out into the morning. Damn it! He grabbed his gun and followed the trail, but it ended at the creek, lost in the water. She'd known how to hide her tracks, professional-like. Returning to the house, frustrated and confused, he almost missed it. There on the pillow, where her head had rested, was a piece of paper, burned around the edges like someone had tried to destroy it, but enough remained to read. It was a telegram, water-stained, but legible. Cole Harrigan, Deadwater Ranch. Urgent, the package you. Requested arrives Thursday, handle with care. As Cole's hands shook. The telegram was dated 3 years ago, Thursday, the day Sarah died, and that S at the end, the way it curved. He ran to his desk and pulled out old letters, compared the handwriting. It matched. This was Sarah's writing, but Sarah had been 8 months pregnant on Thursday, barely able to leave bed. She hadn't sent any telegrams. And what package? Who was this woman who carried impossible evidence of what? Outside, hoofbeats approached. Many horses. Riders coming hard. Cole tucked the telegram into his shirt and grabbed his rifle. Whatever this was, those riders weren't coming for breakfast. Sheriff Wade Pemberton led 6 men, all armed, all wearing the hard look of those paid to hunt humans. Cole knew Wade, corrupt, as a bent dollar but smart enough to keep his badge. "Morning, Cole," Wade said, not bothering to dismount. "Looking for someone, young woman, Mexican or thereabouts, pregnant, dangerous fugitive. Seen anyone like that?" "Dangerous?" Cole kept his voice level. "Pregnant woman dangerous? What did she do, Wade? Steal some baby clothes?" "Murder," Wade said flatly. "Killed a man up in Austin, important man. His family's offering $1,000 for her return, dead or alive." Cole knew a lie when he heard one, but he also knew Wade believed it, or had been paid enough to believe it. "I haven't seen anyone. Storm kept me in all night." Wade studied him, then nodded to his men. They dismounted and started searching the property. Cole stood on his porch, rifle casual but ready, watching them poke through his barn and his sheds. They found nothing because there was nothing to find. "She's headed for Mexico," one rider said, "probably trying for the canyon crossing." Wade gathered his men. "You see her, Cole, you send word. Don't try to be a hero. She's killed before, she'll kill again." He paused. "Shame about Sarah, by the way. 3 years now, isn't it? Some men would have remarried by now, found themselves a nice young thing to warm their bed." The insult was calculated, meant to provoke. Cole didn't rise to it. "Some men actually loved their wives, Wade." After they left, Cole saddled his horse. The canyon crossing was 12 miles south, treacherous in good weather, and deadly after. A storm. If she was heading there, pregnant and barefoot, he found her 2 hours later, exactly where he'd feared. The canyon edge was crumbling from the rain, and she stood trapped between a washout and Wade's returning riders. They hadn't seen her yet, but they would in minutes. Cole made his choice. He spurred his horse down a deer trail, rifle out. Came up behind her as quiet as death. "Don't run," he said softly. "I'm here to help." She spun, and for a moment he thought she'd jump rather than trust him. Then recognition flared in those green eyes. You're really him, Cole Harrigan." She said you'd help, but I didn't believe. "Who said? Who are you?" The riders spotted them then. Shouts echoed across the canyon. Wade's voice, "Stand aside, Cole. That's our prisoner." "Get on the horse," Cole ordered. She hesitated. "Now!" Gunfire erupted as she scrambled up behind him. Cole returned fire, not trying to kill, just driving them back. His horse, Sarah's horse actually, a mare named Dawn, proved her worth, navigating the treacherous trail with a pregnant woman clinging to Cole's back. They lost the riders in the maze of arroyos, but Cole knew it was temporary. Wade would regroup and get more men. They needed somewhere safe, somewhere to get answers. "Thank you," the woman breathed against his back. Then softer, "She was right about you, said you were the best man she ever knew." "Who?" But even as he asked, he knew. "Sarah. You knew Sarah." The woman didn't answer, but her tears, soaking through his shirt, were response enough. Cole took them to the line shack on the far edge of his property, a place few knew existed. As he helped her dismount, she nearly collapsed, the strain showing. He got her inside, started a fire, and found some old blankets. "You need to tell me the truth," he said. "All of it, starting with your name." She sat on the rough cot, hands protective over her belly. "Lucia. Lucia Moreau. And yes, I knew your wife. I worked for her family." Cole's mind raced. Sarah's family, the wealthy Austins of Austin, Texas. Old money, old power, old secrets. Sarah had been their youngest daughter, the rebel who'd married a rancher instead of the banker they'd chosen. "Sarah never mentioned you." "She wouldn't have. I was..." Lucia struggled for words. "Invisible. That's what servants are supposed to be. But Sarah, she saw me. Taught me to read better and to write. Treated me like a person, not property." "The telegram," Cole said. "How do you have it?" Lucia's face crumbled. "She gave it to me that last day. Said if anything happened, I should bring it to you, that you'd understand, but I was a coward. I ran instead. Happened. Sarah died in childbirth. Natural causes. The doctor said..." "The doctor lied." Lucia's voice turned fierce. "Sarah was murdered, poisoned, slow-acting. She figured it out too late. The baby..." Her voice broke. "The baby was born healthy, perfect, a boy. They took him." The world tilted. Cole gripped the table, sure he'd misheard. "What?" "Your son lives, Mr. Harrigan, but they told you both died to keep you from looking. Sarah discovered something about her family, something terrible. The telegram, it wasn't about me. It was about evidence she'd hidden, evidence they killed her to suppress." "My son..." Cole couldn't breathe. "My son is alive? Where? Who has..." "My son?" Before Lucia could answer, her face contorted in pain. She grabbed her belly, crying out. When Cole reached for her, he saw the blood. "No!" she gasped. "Not now, not yet. The baby can't come now." But nature had its own timing. As Lucia's labor began in earnest, Cole realized he was about to deliver a child in a line shack while being hunted by men who'd apparently killed his wife and stolen his son. "Lucia," he said urgently. "The father. Who's the father of your baby?" She looked at him with eyes full of pain that wasn't just physical. "That's what I've been trying to tell you." "Why?" "They want me dead. The baby's father is your brother." "I don't have a brother," Cole said automatically, but even as the words left his mouth, he knew they were wrong. Not don't have. Didn't claim. Thomas Harrigan, 5 years older, they were their father's pride until the scandal. Gambling debts, a dead woman in a hotel room, fleeing to Mexico ahead of the law. Cole had been 15 when Tom disappeared and had spent the next 20 years pretending he'd never existed. "Thomas," Lucia confirmed between contractions. "He came back 2 years ago. He changed his name and works for the Austins now. Their enforcer, they call him. He took what he wanted from me, said I should be grateful for his attention." The pieces were falling into place, creating a picture Cole didn't want to see. His brother, working for his wife's family. Sarah is discovering something. Her murder, his son, was stolen, and now Lucia, carrying his brother's child, is running for her life. What did Sarah find out? He helped Lucia through another contraction, remembering Sarah's labor, how different it had been, until the end. The Austins, they're not just ranchers and bankers, Lucia panted. They bring in girls from Mexico, young girls, sell them to wealthy men. Sarah found the ledgers and tried to stop it. She thought family meant something to them. A bitter laugh. She learned differently, and my son, raised as James Austin Jr., their miracle baby after years of trying. No one questions it. Who would? They're the Austins. Rage built in. Cole's chest, cold and purposeful. 3 years. 3 years of mourning while his son lived 200 miles away, calling another man father. 3 years of believing Sarah died naturally while her killers walked free. Another contraction hit stronger. Lucia screamed and Cole saw more blood, too much blood. Listen, Lucia gripped his hand. If I die, you're not dying. Listen, if I die, the baby, raise the baby. Don't let them have another child. Promise me, your brother, he'll never claim it, but the Austins will want it. Another baby to mold, to own. Promise me. I promise, but you're not dying. We're going to get through this, get you somewhere safe, and then we're going to bring them all down. Lucia smiled sadly. Sarah said you were an optimist. Said it was what she loved most about you. The labor progressed quickly, too quickly. Cole had helped with carving and foaling, but this was different. This was a woman who'd become family through shared loss, carrying a baby that was his nephew or niece, bleeding too much as storm clouds gathered again outside. And somewhere in Austin, his son was calling another man Papa. Push, he told Lucia. We're going to meet this baby, and then we're going to give it a better world than the one we've got. The baby came with the sunset, as if waiting for that liminal moment between day and night. A boy, small but fierce, his first cry piercing, the dim shack like a promise of defiance against all who would harm him. Cole cleaned him with water from his canteen, wrapped him in his own shirt, and placed him on Lucia's chest. She was pale, too pale, but her smile as she looked at her son was radiant. He's perfect, she whispered. Look, he has the Harrigan chin, stubborn already. Cole saw it too, the family resemblance that marked this child as his brother's, his blood, his nephew. The word felt strange but right. What will you name him? Samuel, she said without hesitation. After your father, the only Harrigan worth honoring. Old Sam Harrigan had died when Cole was 20, worn out from trying to hold the ranch together after Tom's disgrace. A good man broken by a bad son. Now his name would live on in a grandson he'd never meet. The moment of peace shattered with hoofbeats. Many horses approaching fast. Cole peered through the cracked shutter, not just Wade this time, 20 men at least, and leading them. Tom, he breathed. His brother had aged hard. Where Cole was weathered by honest work, Thomas looked preserved by shadows, pale, soft, and dangerous in the way of men who let others do their killing. He rode like he owned the world, and maybe in this part of Texas he did. Got them trapped, Mr. Austin, Wade was saying. Just like you figured. Your brother's predictable, always was too soft for his own good. Austin. Tom had taken their enemy's name along with their money, the final betrayal in a life built on them. "Remember," Tom said, his voice carrying on the wind, "the woman dies, makes a cleaner story. My brother," a pause. "Leave him alive if possible. I want him to understand what he's lost before the end." Lucia heard it too. "He means to kill me and take Samuel, raise him as another Austin heir." Her hand found Cole's. "Don't let him. Whatever happens, don't let him." Cole checked his rifle and his pistol. 20 men against one, his brother leading them. Brothers who'd shared a childhood were now on opposite sides of a war neither had chosen, but both had to finish. "Can you ride?" he asked Lucia. "I can try." "No." He made his decision. "You stay here with Samuel. Bar the door after I leave. Don't open it for anyone but me." "Cole, no, you can't face them all." "I'm not facing them." He smiled grimly. "I'm leading them away. There's an old mine 2 miles north. Played there as boys. Tom will remember. He'll follow me there thinking he's clever. While they're chasing ghosts, you take Dawn and ride for the mission at San Miguel. Sister Catherine will hide you, but no arguments." He loaded extra ammunition. "You asked me to protect your son. This is how I do it." He kissed her forehead, then the baby's. Family. They were family now, bound by blood and betrayal, and the fierce need to protect the innocent from those who would devour them. "Tell Samuel about his Uncle Cole," he said. "Tell him sometimes a man has to choose between his blood and his conscience. And choosing conscience is what makes us human." Cole burst from the shack firing, drawing their attention perfectly. Tom's men scattered, shooting wildly. Cole mounted a spare horse, not Dawn, who waited inside for Lucia, and spurred toward the north, toward memory and probably death. They followed, as he knew they would. Tom might have changed his name, but Cole knew his brother's pride. He wouldn't let hired men handle this. It was personal now. The mine appeared like a mouth in the mountainside, abandoned since they were boys. Cole dismounted and took position in the entrance. Excellent sight lines, limited approach. If they wanted him, they'd pay for it. "Surrender, Cole," Wade's voice echoed off the rocks. "No need for this to get messier than it is." Cole answered with a shot that took Wade's hat off. "Come and get me, Sheriff. Bring my brother with you. We've got 20 years to catch up on." Silence. Then Tom's voice, cultured now, the Texas drawl replaced with Austin smoothness. "Hello, little brother. You've caused me considerable inconvenience." "Mutual, Tom. Or should I call you Mr. Austin now? Daddy always said you'd amount to nothing. Guess he was right. You had to steal another man's name to be somebody." I adapted. It's called survival, something you never learned, always playing the noble rancher. How'd that work out? "Oh, right. Your wife died, your ranch is failing, and you're about to join her. Sarah was murdered." Cole kept his voice steady. "You know it, you probably helped plan it." A laugh, cold as winter wind. "I didn't plan it, but I didn't stop it either. She was going to ruin everything, you know, all her noble intentions." "Did the whore tell you about the ledgers, about the girls?" "It's just business, Cole, supply and demand. And my son." Pause. "What son?" "You have no son. James Austin Jr. is heir to an empire. Would you rather he grow up on a failing ranch with a father stuck in the past?" The rage nearly consumed Cole then. But rage made men stupid, and he needed to be smart. "And Samuel, you planning to steal him too?" "My bastard, please." The woman dies, and the baby goes to an orphanage. Clean, simple, no loose ends. Except me. Yes, except you. But that's easily remedied. They came at sunset, using the dying light for cover. Cole made them pay for every foot, his rifle singing, "Death." 3 men fell, then 5, but there were too many, and they were working around his flanks. Then he saw Tom moving through his own men like he was bulletproof, still believing himself untouchable. Cole lined up the shot, finger on the trigger. One squeeze and his brother dies. Justice for Sarah, safety for Lucia and Samuel. He couldn't do it. Even now, even knowing everything, he saw the boy who'd taught him to ride, who'd carried him home when he broke his leg falling from the barn. That hesitation cost him. Pain exploded through his shoulder as a bullet found its mark. He fell back into the mine, blood flowing freely. "Got him!" someone shouted, but Cole wasn't done. Wounded and cornered, he was more dangerous than ever. He'd learned that in the war. Desperate men fight hardest. If you're still here, it's because you feel it too. Comment, protect the forgotten, and subscribe. The truth you're about to hear changes everything. Cole retreated deeper into the mine, leaving a blood trail they could follow. Let them come. These tunnels held memories and secrets Tom had forgotten. 20 years ago, 2 boys had explored every inch of this mine. Young, Tom had been obsessed with finding leftover silver, but Cole had found something better. A second entrance hidden behind a rockfall leading out the back of the mountain. Wounded and bleeding, he crawled through darkness toward that memory. Behind him, boots on stone, Tom's voice directing the hunt. "Careful, boys. He's wounded but not dead, like a rabid wolf." Cole found the passage barely wide enough for a man. He squeezed through, shoulder screaming, and emerged on the far side of the mountain just as full dark fell. Below, he could see the line shack, a lamp burning in the window. Lucia had waited, but between him and the shack, more riders. Tom had been smart and left men to guard the woman. Cole counted 6, maybe 7, too many for a wounded man with a rifle running low on ammunition. He needed a new plan. Then he remembered the dynamite. Old Sam had cached supplies throughout the ranch, including mining explosives for clearing stumps. There should be some hidden near the mine's back entrance. Found it. 3 sticks, sweating with age, but probably still good. Probably. Cole rigged a simple fuse and lit it with shaking hands. He threw the bundle back through the passage he'd just exited. Counted to 10 then. The explosion shook the mountain. The hidden passage collapsed, sealing the mine from this side. Anyone following him through would find only rock and death. But the explosion served another purpose. The guards at the shack turned toward the sound, and Cole made his move. Wounded, desperate, he had one advantage. They thought he was trapped in the mine. He came at them from behind, rifle ready. The first 2 never knew what hit them. The third managed to shout before Cole's bullets silenced him. But the others were alerted now, shooting at shadows. Cole felt another bullet graze his ribs. No matter. He had to reach the shack, had to protect Cole! Tom's voice, but not from the mine. From the shack. Cole's blood went cold. He'd been outmaneuvered. While he'd escaped through the back, Tom had circled around. His brother stood in the shack's doorway, pistol in hand. "Always too clever for your own good, little brother," Tom called, "but not clever enough." Cole approached slowly, rifle trained on his brother. Through the door, he could see Lucia on the cot, holding Samuel, alive. Tom hadn't killed them yet. "Let them go, Tom. This is between us." "Is it? She knows too much about the operation, about the Austins. Can't have her spreading tales." "She won't. She just wants to raise her son in peace." Tom laughed. "My son, my bastard. You think I care about either of them? They're loose ends, nothing more. Then why haven't you killed them?" Tom's smile was cold. "Because I wanted you to watch. I want you to understand the price of defying your betters. You could have had a good life. Cole stayed on your ranch, minded your business, but you had to play hero. Someone has to." Cole kept inching closer. "Someone has to stand up to men like you. Men like me run this world. Accept it." "No." That single word hung between them. A lifetime of different choices crystallized into one moment. Tom raised his pistol toward Lucia and Samuel, but Lucia moved first. She'd seemed helpless, exhausted from childbirth, but Sarah had taught her more than reading and writing. As Tom turned his gun on her, she drove a knife, hidden in the blankets, deep into his thigh. Tom screamed, staggering. His shot went wide. Cole didn't waste the opportunity, launching himself at his brother. They crashed together, rolling on the floor, fighting for the gun. Tom was soft from easy living, but Cole was wounded, weak from blood loss. They were evenly matched in their damage. The gun skittered away, and it became fists and desperation. "You always were too noble," Tom gasped, hands around Cole's throat. "Just like father." Cole's vision grayed, but then Lucia was there, the bloody knife in her hand. "Let him go!" Tom laughed. "You won't, you're too weak." But he'd underestimated her again. Lucia didn't stab him. Instead, she pressed the knife to her own throat. "Let him go, or your son grows up without a mother, another orphan, another broken piece of your legacy." Tom's hands loosened. For the first time, uncertainty flickered in his eyes. "You wouldn't? I survived your bed. I survived your child. I'll survive this too, one way or another. But your son, Samuel, deserves better than your blood. Let Cole go, or I'll make sure he never knows where he came from." The standoff stretched taut. Then Tom released Cole, who gasped for air. "You're all insane," Tom muttered. "The whole lot of you." "No," Cole wheezed. "We're family. Something you never understood." Tom sat against the wall, blood seeping from his thigh wound, not fatal if treated, but serious. Outside, confusion reigned as the surviving guards tried to understand what had happened. "So, what now?" Tom asked. "You kill me, take my bastard and run? The Austins will hunt you forever." "Maybe." Cole retrieved his rifle and checked the load. "Or maybe things change. See, Lucia's not the only one who knows the truth. Sarah hid those ledgers you mentioned, hidden them well. If anything happens to us, they go to the federal marshals. All of it, the trafficking, the murders, everything." Tom's face went pale. "You're lying." "Am I? Want to bet your life on it? More importantly, want to bet the Austins' empire?" Lucia spoke up, still holding Samuel. "Sarah made copies, sent them to a lawyer in San Antonio, a good man who owes her family nothing. He has instructions." It was partially true. Sarah had hidden evidence, though Cole didn't know where. But Tom didn't need to know that. "So here's what happens," Cole continued. "You ride out of here. Tell the Austins that we died in the explosion. Tragic accident. No bodies were recovered. They stopped looking for Lucia, and those ledgers stay hidden. And if I refuse, then you bleed out here, and I take my chances with the Austins. But either way, your son grows up free." Tom studied them, calculating. "You'd let me go after everything?" I'm not letting you go. I'm choosing mercy over vengeance. For Samuel, not for you. Boy deserves a chance at life without blood feuds. He's my blood. No. Lucia's voice cut sharp. You gave up that claim when you took me by force. Samuel is a Harrigan by my choice, not yours. Cole will raise him right. I will, she smiled tiredly, if you'll have us. A broken woman and a bastard child. Not much of a bargain. Family isn't a bargain. It's a choice. Tom struggled to his feet. This isn't over. The Austins can go to hell. Cole kept his rifle steady. You tell them we're dead. You sell that lie with everything you've got, because if you don't, if they come after us, those ledgers get delivered, and Tom, my son, my stolen son, he'll learn the truth about who his real father is. How do you think the Austins would react to that scandal? Tom's face twisted. He knew the answer. The Austins would sacrifice him in a heartbeat to protect their reputation. Get out, Cole said. Ride away and never come back. Die in Mexico or California or wherever men like you go to rot. But die away from here. Tom limped to the door and turned back. You know what your problem is, little brother. You still believe in justice, in happy endings. This world will eat you alive. Maybe, but I'll die standing, not crawling. Tom left without another word. They heard him ordering the remaining men to withdraw, spinning a tale of death and explosions. The hoofbeats faded into darkness. Cole slumped against the wall, exhaustion hitting hard. Will he keep his word? For now, Lucia said, fear will hold him longer than honor would have. They couldn't stay at the line shack. Come morning, someone would investigate. Cole's shoulder needed proper treatment, and Lucia was still weak. From childbirth, they needed sanctuary. The mission, Lucia suggested. San Miguel, Sister Catherine, is dead, Cole said gently. Died 2 winters ago. But Sister Maria runs it now. She'll help. They prepared to leave as best they could. Cole's shoulder was roughly bandaged. The bleeding mostly stopped. Lucia fashioned a sling for Samuel from torn blankets. Dawn, patient Dawn, would carry them all. As they prepared to mount, Lucia asked, what about your ranch, your life here? What life, 3 years of emptiness waiting to die? You and Samuel, you're giving me reason to live again. We're not Sarah. I'm not her. I know. Cole helped her mount, handed up the baby. But you're family now, and that telegram, we still need to find what Sarah hid. For my son. They rode out under stars, 3 broken people forming something new. The mission was 15 miles, a hard ride for the wounded and weary. But they made it as dawn broke, Sister Maria greeting them with the measured calm of one who'd seen too much to be surprised. Sanctuary, Cole said simply. Granted. Come, let's tend those wounds. Safe within the mission walls, Cole finally allowed himself to feel the full weight of the night's revelations. His son lived. His wife had been murdered. His brother was a monster, and now he had a new family to protect, a woman who'd survived. Hell, and a baby who deserved heaven. Sister Maria, wise in the ways of broken souls, asked no questions yet. She simply tended their bodies and gave them space to tend their spirits. What now? Lucia asked as Samuel nursed. Now we heal, we plan, and then we get my son back. That could take years. The Austins are powerful. Then it takes years. But Samuel will know his cousin. They'll grow up together as family should. Lucia touched his face gently. Sarah was right. You are the best man she knew. She told you that? In the last letter she sent me, the night before she died, she said if anything happened I should find you. That you'd understand about doing what's right, even when it costs everything. Cole thought about that as exhaustion finally claimed him. Sarah had known she was in danger. She had tried to protect everyone but herself, just like her. Sleep, Sister Maria ordered. Tomorrow brings its own battles. Today, rest. 3 days passed in the sanctuary of San Miguel. Cole's shoulder began to heal, though it would always ache before storms. Lucia grew stronger, and Samuel thrived on his mother's milk and the peaceful atmosphere. On the 4th day, Sister Maria brought news. The sheriff came by, asking about fugitives. I told him we'd seen nothing. He seemed uncertain, as if he didn't truly want to find anyone. Wade, without Tom pulling his strings, was just another corrupt lawman, losing his nerve. Good. That evening, as Lucia put Samuel down for sleep, she said, "There's something else, something I haven't told you." Cole waited. The telegram, it wasn't the only thing Sarah gave me. There was a letter too, for you. But she said, only to give it to you if you chose mercy over vengeance, if you let Tom live. She produced an envelope from her few possessions, worn from carrying but intact. Cole's name in Sarah's handwriting made his throat tight. He opened it with trembling hands. My dearest Cole, if you're reading this, then the worst has happened, but also the best. You've chosen to be the man I always knew you were. Lucia lives, and you spared Tom despite having every reason to kill him. I know about our son. I know what they plan. But I also know you'll find a way to get him back without becoming like them. That's why I'm trusting you with this. In our barn, beneath the loose floorboard where you used to hide your poetry. Yes, I knew about that. You'll find what you need. Documents, yes, but also proof of Samuel's birth. I made sure there were witnesses and records they don't know about. When the time is right, you'll be able to prove he's ours. But Cole, please don't rush. Don't let vengeance drive you. Our son is safe for now, even if he's not where he belongs. Take time to heal, to plan, to build the kind of life he can come home to. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you in person. Sorry I wasn't strong enough to survive their poison. But I'm not. Sorry I loved you, or that we created our beautiful boy together. Lucia is more than she seems. Trust her. Love her if you can, not as you loved me, but as the remarkable woman she is. She's suffered enough for several lifetimes. Give her peace. And Cole, the roses really will bloom again in spring. I planted them the day I found out I was pregnant. They're behind the house, probably overgrown now. Tend them for me. All my love, always Sarah P.S. Our son's name is David. I whispered it to him before they took him. Someday, make sure he knows it. Cole wept then, really wept for the first time since Sarah's death. Lucia held him as he grieved. For Sarah, for 3 lost years. For a son named David raised as James, building a future. They returned to the ranch a week later, approaching carefully. But Tom had kept his word. No one waited for them. The line shack showed signs of investigation, but the main house stood untouched. Cole went straight to the barn, to the loose floorboard that had hidden teenage poetry and now hid salvation. The packet was there, wrapped in oilcloth. Legal documents, birth certificate, witness statements. Sarah had been thorough, but there was more. maps of the Austin compound, names of servants who might help, a plan sketched in her neat hand for getting David out. She'd known she was dying and used her last days planning for a rescue she'd never see. She was remarkable, Lutea said, reading over his shoulder. Yes, she was. They settled into an unexpected rhythm. Lutea took over the household, her quiet efficiency bringing life back to rooms that had stood empty. Samuel filled the house with baby sounds, cries and coos, and the particular silence of infant sleep. Cole worked the ranch with new purpose. Every cow sold and every horse trained was another step toward getting David back. He hired good men, ones who didn't ask about the woman and baby who'd appeared from nowhere. The roses behind the house were indeed overgrown, but alive. Lucia helped him clear the weeds and prune the dead wood. By spring, they might bloom again. Neighbors talked, of course. The mysterious woman living with Cole Harrigan, the baby that looked nothing like him. But talk was all they did. Cole's reputation for fairness, combined with memories of Sarah's kindness, bought them acceptance, if not approval. Months passed. Samuel learned to crawl, then walk. His first word was "Papa," directed at Cole, and Lucia cried at the joy on Cole's face. They were building something, not a replacement for what he'd lost with Sarah, but something new, something good. Letters came occasionally, reports from friends in Austin. The Austins continued their empire, James Jr. growing up spoiled, but safe. The trafficking had slowed, Tom's influence, perhaps, or just caution after close calls. "When?" Lucia asked one evening as they watched Samuel play. "When do we move?" "When he's old enough to understand," Cole decided. "David, I mean. Old, enough to know the truth and choose. Sarah was right, rushing helps no one." Years then. Years. He looked at her, this woman who'd become his partner in all but name. "Can you wait that long?" "I've waited my whole life for a real home." "What's a few more years?" 2 years passed. Samuel grew into a sturdy toddler with his mother's green eyes and the Harrigan's stubborn streak. The ranch prospered under Cole's renewed attention, and slowly, carefully, they built their network. Former servants of the Austins, discharged for minor infractions, found work at neighboring ranches. A new teacher in Austin happened to be Sister Maria's cousin. A federal marshal, tired of corruption, began investigating old cases. The plan grew like Sarah's roses, slowly, steadily, with strong roots. On a spring evening, with those roses finally blooming white and perfect, Cole found Lucia in the garden. Samuel played nearby, chasing butterflies with the dedication of the very young. "Lucia," Cole began, then stopped, started again. "These 2 years have been good," she finished, "the best of my life." "Mine too. Since Sarah, I never thought—" He pulled out a small box. "This was my mother's. Sarah wore it, but I think she'd want you to have it." A simple gold band, worn smooth by 2 generations of ranch wives. Lucia stared at it, then at him. "Cole Harrigan, are you proposing?" Yes, but not because you need protection or Samuel needs a name. Because somewhere between that night in the barn and now, I fell in love with you. Different from Sarah, but just as real. I'm not her. I don't want you to be. I want you, Lucia Moreau. Brave, stubborn, magnificent you. The woman who stabbed my brother to save me. Who makes the best tortillas in Texas. Who sings French lullabies to our son. Our son? if you'll have me, if you'll let me be his father in truth, not just in practice." Lucia took the ring and turned it so it caught the evening light. "Sarah told me you were terrible at romance, all action, no pretty words. She wasn't wrong, no. But she also said that when you loved completely, no half measures." She slipped the ring onto her finger. "Yes, Cole. Yes to all of it." They married a month later in the mission where they'd found sanctuary. Sister Maria officiated, Samuel toddled down the aisle as ring-bearer, and half the county attended. Even Wade came, hat in hand, to wish them well. But the most important guest arrived quietly, slipping in during the reception. A young Mexican woman, thin and travel-worn, with a baby on her hip. "Senora Lucia," she whispered, "I was told. They said you help women like us." And so it began again. Not trafficking this time, but rescue. The ranch became a way station on a different kind of underground railroad. Women fleeing brutal husbands, poverty, and hopelessness. Some stayed days, some weeks. A few, like Maria and her daughter, stayed forever. 5 more years. Samuel grew tall and strong, bilingual and bicultural, equally comfortable breaking horses and reading books. The ranch supported not just cattle, but a dozen families, each with their own story of escape and renewal. David, still called James by the Austins, was 8 now, old enough to understand, as Cole had promised. Reports from Austin painted a picture of a lonely boy, brilliant but isolated, asking questions his parents couldn't answer. "He looks like you," their spy network reported. "Dark hair, blue eyes, but he has Sarah's smile." The time had come. They planned carefully. The Austin Empire had cracks now. Federal investigations, changing times, the old ways dying hard, but dying nonetheless. Tom had disappeared to California, drinking himself to death by all accounts. The plan was simple. Approach David at school. Tell him the truth and let him choose. If he wanted to stay with the only parents he'd known, they'd wait. If he wanted to meet his real father, "I'll go," Lucia decided. "A woman attracts less suspicion. Besides, I have business in Austin, placing 2 of our girls in service positions." Cole wanted to protest, but knew she was right. Lucia had become formidable in her quiet way, running the rescue network with intelligence and compassion. She left on a Tuesday, taking Samuel with her. "He should see a city," she said. But Cole knew the truth. She wanted their son close. If something went wrong, the days crawled. Cole worked himself to exhaustion, trying not to imagine all the ways the plan could fail. The Austins still had power, still had resources, and David might not believe, might not want to believe. On Sunday, a telegram. "Package secured, returning Monday, prepare for company. L." Cole read it 5 times, heart hammering. Package secured. Did that mean? He prepared the house, not sure for what. Cleaned David's room, Sarah's sewing room, kept as a shrine, now a boy's bedroom. Put fresh flowers from Sarah's garden on the table. Paced, worried, hoped. Monday afternoon, he saw. The wagon approaching. Lucia is driving with Samuel beside her, and in the back, a boy. Dark-haired, sitting very straight, looking around with eyes that missed nothing. Sarah's eyes in Cole's face. David, his son. They stood in the yard, man and boy, studying each other. David, he'd have to learn to think of him as David, not James, had Sarah's composure over Cole's features. "So," the boy said finally, You're my real father. Yes. Can you prove it? Smart, cautious, good. Cole showed him the documents and the photographs. David studied them with the intensity of a scholar, despite his 8 years. She was beautiful, David said of Sarah's picture. The woman who raised me never let me see pictures of my supposed birth mother. She was beautiful and brilliant and brave. How did she die? Cole had prepared for this. Poisoned by the people who raised you. David nodded as if he'd expected this. They're not good people. I've known that for a while. How? They have servants who disappear, girls who cry in the night. Father, Mr. Austin, has meetings with men who make my skin crawl. And they never loved me. Not really. I was just property. The matter-of-fact tone broke Cole's heart. 8 years old and already so cynical. You're not property, Lucia said firmly. You're a person, a loved person, whether you stay or go. David's composure cracked slightly. Stay? This is your choice, Cole said. We wanted you to know the truth, but you can return to Austin if that's what you want. You have a life there. Friends, perhaps. No friends. They don't let me have friends. Too risky, they say. David looked around the ranch, taking in the gardens, the horses, and Samuel peeking from behind his mother's skirts. Is this my brother? Half-brother, Lucia corrected gently. Samuel. David walked over and knelt to Samuel's level. Hello, Samuel. I'm David. Hi! Samuel, 5 and fearless, grinned. Want to see my pony? And just like that, the boys were off, David following his little brother toward the barn. Cole and Lucia trailed behind, watching. He's staying, Lucia murmured. How do you know? Look at his shoulders. It's the first time they've relaxed since I met him. He's home. He just doesn't know it yet. She was right. By evening, David had ridden Samuel's pony, met the horses, and explored the house. At dinner, he ate like a boy who'd been starving for more than food. The Austins, he said suddenly, they'll come for me. Let them try, Cole said. We have the law on our side now, and friends. But David, Cole reached across the table and took his son's hand. I lost you once. I won't lose you again. You're home now if you want to be. David's eyes filled with tears he was too proud to shed. I want to be. I've wanted to be home my whole life. I just didn't know where it was. The Austins came 3 days later, not with an army, but with lawyers and threats. Mr. Austin himself, gray now, but still radiating power. Mrs. Austin, beautiful and cold as Winterstone. You've kidnapped our son, Austin declared. I've reclaimed mine. Cole had his own lawyer present. The documents spread on the table. David Cole Harrigan, born March 15th, illegally taken from his dying mother. Lies. James is ours. Ask him, Lucia interrupted. Ask the boy what he wants. They'd kept David away, but he'd been listening from the stairs. Now he walked in, head high. James, Mrs. Austin said, reaching for him. My name is David. He stepped away from her touch. And I know what you did to my mother. The temperature in the room dropped. Austin's eyes narrowed. Boy's been poisoned against us. No, I've been told the truth, and I've made my choice. I'm staying with my father. You're 8 years old. You don't get to choose. Actually, the lawyer, young, brilliant, and incorruptible, spoke up. In cases of disputed custody where kidnapping and murder are factors, The child's wishes carry significant weight. Add to that the documents proving the Harrigan claim, and your position is untenable. We'll fight this. We have resources, and we have evidence, Cole said quietly. All of it. The trafficking, the murders, everything. Fight us, and it all becomes public. The Austins exchanged glances. They'd built their empire on secrets and fear. Exposure would destroy them. You're making a mistake, Mrs. Austin told David. We gave you everything. Education, culture, a future. You gave me a prison, David replied. They're giving me a family. The standoff stretched taut. Then Austin stood. Keep him then, but he's dead to us. No inheritance, no name, nothing. I have a name, David said. I have everything I need. After they left, threatening legal action they'd never pursue, David collapsed into Cole's arms. Did I do okay? You did perfect, son. Perfect. That night, they celebrated quietly. Lucia made David's favorite meal, discovered to be simple, fried chicken. Samuel showed off every trick he knew, and Cole told stories of Sarah, the mother David had never known but would learn to love through memory. As Cole tucked his sons into bed, David had chosen to share with Samuel, neither boy wanting separation. David asked, "Do you think she'd be proud? My mother? I know she would. She loved you before you were born, planned for your future even as she died. Yes, David, she'd be so proud." A year passed. The Austins, true to their word, cut David off completely. He didn't care. He had something worth more than money, a family who loved him for himself, not his potential value. David thrived at the ranch. His expensive education served him well as he helped Lucia with the rescue network's correspondence. His natural horsemanship, inherited from both parents, made him invaluable with the ranch work. Most importantly, he and Samuel became true brothers, inseparable despite the age gap. The rescue network grew. What had started as helping one or two women became a full operation. The old bunkhouse was converted to temporary housing. Lucia taught reading and writing. Cole taught practical skills. David and Samuel taught the children who came through that safety and kindness existed. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, David asked, "Do you ever regret it? Taking on all these people? It can't be easy." "Your mother," Cole said, "believed in helping people. She died for it. How could I do less? But it's dangerous. If the Austins ever—" "The Austins are finished," Lucia interrupted. "Oh, they still have money, power, but the world's changing. The federal investigations are closing in. Their kind of evil can't hide in shadows anymore." She was right. 6 months later, the Austin Empire crumbled. Federal agents, armed with evidence that had mysteriously appeared, Sarah's hidden documents, finally used, arrested half the family on trafficking charges. The rest fled to Mexico. Tom's body was found in a San Francisco alley. The official cause was drink, but Cole wondered. Tom had known too many secrets to be allowed to live once the empire fell. "It's over," David said, reading the newspaper. "Accounts. They can't hurt us anymore." "That part's over," Cole agreed. "But our work, that's just beginning." The ranch had become something neither Cole nor Sarah had envisioned, a beacon of hope in a hard land. Women and children arrived scared and left strong. Families formed from broken pieces. Love grew where only pain had been planted. Samuel, now 7, appointed himself chief welcomer of new children. David, 10, helped the older boys learn to read and ride. Lucia managed it all with quiet grace. her past pain transformed into present purpose. And Cole, he tended Sarah's roses, raised their sons, and honored her memory by living the life she'd wanted for them all, one of service, love, and the radical belief that people could change, could heal, could bloom again despite the hardest winters. 10 more years passed in a blur of rescued women, growing boys, and small victories against large evils. David, now 20, had been accepted to law school, not to become like the Austins' lawyers, but to fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. Samuel, 17, had his father's easy charm and his mother's steel spine. He planned to take over the ranch operations to keep the sanctuary running for future generations. On the eve of David's departure for school, they held a celebration. The yard filled with families who'd found safety at the ranch. Women who'd arrived broken and left whole, and children who'd learned that kindness wasn't weakness. Speech, someone called, and David, blushing, stood. "I've been thinking about mothers," he began. "I had 3 in a way. Sarah, who died to give me life and spent her last days planning my rescue. Mrs. Austin, who raised me without love but taught me inadvertently how not to live. And Lucia, who showed me that family isn't about blood but about choice." He raised his glass to Lucia, who wiped away tears. "And fathers," David continued. "The man who stole me thought wealth and power made him my father. But this man," he gestured to Cole, "who bled for me, who chose mercy over vengeance for me, who built this place of refuge, he's my true father. Not because of blood, but because of love." The crowd cheered. Cole found himself crying, not caring who saw. Later, as the party wound down, David found him by Sarah's roses. They bloomed magnificently now, spreading along the entire back of the house. "I'll make you proud," David promised. "Both of you. You already have, son. Every day since you chose to stay. It wasn't a hard choice." This, David gestured to the ranch, the people, the sense of purpose. "This is what home feels like. What family means. I'm going to spend my life making sure others find the same thing. Your mother would love that. Both your mothers." They stood together, father and son, watching the stars emerge. Somewhere, Cole believed, Sarah watched too. Her sacrifice had bloomed into something beautiful, a legacy of love triumphing over evil, of broken people helping each other heal. 25 years after that night in the barn, Cole sat at his desk, writing. His hair was grey now, his hands weathered by decades of work, but his eyes were clear, his purpose undimmed. "To whoever finds this, my name is Cole Harrigan. Once I was just a rancher mourning his wife. Then a desperate woman sought shelter in my barn, and everything changed. This is the story of how tragedy became triumph, how loss became love, and how 3 broken people built something beautiful from ashes. But more than that, it's instructions, because the work is never done." First, about the roses. They're hardy now, adapted to desert life. But they need tending, water deeply but infrequently, prune in late winter, talk to them. I know it sounds foolish, but Sarah swore it helped. Second, about the network. We've saved over 3,000 women and children. The ledgers are in the safe, but the real records are in the lives changed. Keep accurate accounts. The law requires it now, and transparency protects everyone. Third, about family. Blood makes you related. Choice makes you family. We've had hundreds of children pass through here. Some stayed days, some years. All left, marked by love. That's the real legacy. Not the buildings or the land, but the love. David is a federal judge now, married to a woman who understands the work. They have 3 children who play where their father once found his true home. Samuel runs the ranch with his mother's wisdom and my stubbornness. His wife came to us as a frightened girl of 15. Now she helps run the network that saved her. Lucia, my beloved Lucia, died last spring. 68 years of life, 43 of them with me. She faced her final illness like she faced everything else, with grace and determination. Her last words were, "Tell them the roses will bloom again." So I'm telling you, if you're reading this, you're probably the next caretaker of this place. Maybe you're one of our children, grown now. Maybe you're a stranger who bought the property. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you understand what happened here. A woman died to save others. A man chose mercy over vengeance. A family formed from broken pieces. And from that foundation, thousands of lives were changed. Keep the work going. The methods may change. They already have, from underground railroad to legal non-profit, but the need remains. There will always be those who prey on the vulnerable, stand against them, give shelter to the desperate, choose love over fear, always. The roses know the way. Follow their example, roots deep, blooms reaching toward light, beauty from the harshest ground. Remember us, but more importantly, remember them. Every woman who found safety here, every child who learned to laugh again. We were just the gardeners. They were the garden. Cole Harrigan, Deadwater Ranch, now Harrigan House, where the forgotten are remembered. Cole sealed the letter and placed it with the other documents. Someday, someone would need to read it. For now, there was work to do. A new family had arrived that morning, a mother and 3 children fleeing violence. They needed welcome, safety, and hope. He walked out to greet them, past Sarah's roses, past the garden of memory and promise. The work continued, the roses bloomed, and somewhere, in whatever comes after this life, 3 women smiled. Sarah, who started it, Lucia, who built it, and all the daughters who carried it forward. Today, if you drive through West Texas, you might pass Harrigan House without knowing its history. It looks like many other ranches, weathered buildings, cattle grazing, children playing. But look closer. See the roses blooming impossibly white against red stone. Notice how many women work the gardens and how many children of different shades. Play together. Watch how strangers are greeted. With caution, yes, but also with readiness to help. The old barn still stands, converted now to a meeting hall. A plaque by the door reads, "She had no shoes, no name, just a swollen belly and eyes that never stopped looking over her shoulder." Here she found family. Here she found home. Inside, photographs line the walls. Cole and Lucia on their wedding day. David taking his oath as a federal judge. Samuel with his ever-growing family. But mostly, pictures of women and children, thousands of them spanning decades. The forgotten, remembered. The current director is David's granddaughter, named Sarah Lucia Harrigan. She has her great-grandmother's determination and her step-great-grandmother's compassion. Under her leadership, Harrigan House has expanded to 3 states, saving lives with the same quiet efficiency that Lucia pioneered. People ask how we do it, Sarah Lucia says, giving tours to potential donors. How we take broken people and help them heal. The answer is simple. We remember that we're all broken, every one of us. The difference is whether we let that break us further or whether we use it to help others. She always ends the tour in the rose garden where Cole and Lucia are buried beside a memorial to the first Sarah. The headstones are simple, but the roses that surround them are magnificent. A cowboy found a pregnant woman in his barn, Sarah Lucia tells visitors. He could have turned her away. She was dangerous, desperate, and carrying secrets that could destroy him. Instead, he took her. And from that single act of compassion, all this grew. She gestures to the buildings, the gardens, and the children playing. But she means more than that. She means the laws changed, the lives saved, and the evil defeated by ordinary people choosing love over fear. That's the lesson of Harrigan House, she concludes. That's why we exist. Because in the silence of the West, in the silence anywhere, the forgotten deserve to be remembered. The broken deserve to be whole. And sometimes the stranger in your barn is the family you've been waiting for. The tours end, the visitors leave, but the work continues. Women arrive scared and leave strong. Children learn that gentleness and strength can coexist. And always, always, the roses bloom. Cole was right in his letter. The methods change, but the mission remains. To stand witness that love is stronger than evil, that families can form from any ingredients, and that even the most broken promises can leave the most beautiful legacies. In the evening, when the sun sets over Deadwater, now called Harrigan Valley, the light catches on white petals and weathered wood, on children's laughter and women's songs. And if you listen closely, you might hear whispers on the wind, the voices of all who found shelter here, all who gave shelter, all who learned that home isn't a place but a choice to love despite the cost. The roses will bloom again in spring. They always do. And somewhere, somehow, a desperate woman will find shelter, and the whole beautiful cycle will begin once more. The end. Sometimes, the most broken promises leave the most beautiful legacies. If this story stirred something inside you, remember, we all have barns, and we all meet strangers. The question is whether we open the door. In the silence of the West, even the forgotten deserve to be remembered.